shitty mission after another.
You're an expendable. You're here to be expended.
Every time I died, they just printed me out again. Everyone asks, what's it feel like to die?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 dark comedy sci-fi Mickey 17. The film is co-written and directed by Bong Joon-ho, and it stars Robert Pattinson, Stephen Yeun, Michael Monroe, Patsy Ferran, and we have Mark Ruffalo, Toni Collette and Naomi Ackel. Right, okay, the film is set, obviously, the future. We meet Mickey Barnes, played by Robert Pattinson. He is a bit of a lowlife on Earth, really. He owes some gangsters some money for starting up a business. He can't pay, so the only way he and his friend, Timo, played by Stephen Yeun, can think to get out of this is to join this expedition, the space expedition, that's kind of, I think, funded by a church. They're going to go into space and populate some planet somewhere. But these expeditions are very popular, so to try and get himself on board, Mickey puts himself down as an expendable, not knowing what one of them is. An expendable, basically, is somebody on these expeditions that does all the risky missions, and as and when they die, which they frequently do, they are then printed out again the very next day, essentially cloned, with the same memories and everything. And this happens to Mickey 17 times on this space expedition, and he's getting pretty fed up with it by that point. And something happens, which, if you see the trailer, it's not a spoiler. He survives what should have been him clearly being killed, and they print off a new version of him, so there ends up being two of them. This leads to all sorts of different escapades. Right, what are my thoughts on Mickey 17? Well, while I saw the trailer for this one several months ago, I'll be honest, I mean, I wasn't necessarily tripping over myself initially to go and see this one. I've kind of seen and watched and read some complimentary reviews for it. So I thought, do you know what, I thought I'd give it a go. And to be honest, I'm quite glad I did. I had quite a lot of fun with this. I think it is entertaining, enjoyable. It's got some great performances here. Tonally, it kind of gets the comedy just right here. It's almost a parody at times. At times it's way over the top. At times it's a little dark in its approach. But it's also not trying to be pretentious or anything like that, which is kind of what worried me initially. I thought it was going to be one of those movies that tries to, I don't know, on one hand, you know, entertain you and be funny and stuff, and then on the other hand, you know, shove a message, you know, right in front of your face and slap you like a kipper. And this film doesn't do that, really. You know, I'm sure you could analyse this film and find plenty of messages if you chose to do that. I don't really like doing that a great deal with movies. I don't like to, you know, overanalyse, I think it's fair to say, movies. And if you're prepared to kind of go into this and watch it for what it is and not overanalyse, I think you're going to have a good time with this one, because it is fun and entertaining. And like I say, it's got some really good performances here. Now, Robert Pattinson, I think it's fair to say I've never really been a fan. I mean, obviously, the Twilight films are utter garbage, in my opinion, an absolute tosh. But there was an audience for them. I get that. I understand that. And I do acknowledge that I think Robert Pattinson has worked very, very hard since the end of the Twilight franchise to build his reputation as an actor. And I acknowledge that. And I really do. The Batman that he did a couple of years ago was really good. I thought he was good in that, and I wasn't expecting him to be like a good Batman. But I did very much enjoy his performance here. He impressed me as an actor and a performer here, because this Mickey character is not who you expect. He's actually quite a dweeb and a wet blanket, you know. And I didn't expect that from Robert Pattinson, if you like. He's a real quirky character, and it's a fun performance, and it's something a little bit different. But also at the same time, when there ends up being duplicates of him, he gives two very different performances. Because what tends to happen if you make a duplicate of yourself, the other duplicate has got a different personality. So you've got Mickey, who's actually quite a gentle soul, Mickey 17, and all the Mickeys before that. And now, because they've printed off a new version of Mickey, but Mickey 17 is still alive, it's got a different personality. And this different personality is essentially a bit of a psychopath. And that's quite interesting and entertaining to see that side of Robert Pattinson give two very, very different performances, which I definitely enjoyed. And then you've got Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette. Now, initially, I didn't really know what to make of their performances. They felt a little bit pantomime villainish, but I started warming to them as the film went on. And, you know, they are mustache twirling villains in this film. And Matt Ruffalo's character, honestly, is absolute thick as pig shit. He's an imbecile. He really is, and he's basically a puppet for Toni Collette, his wife, in this film. But they're both wonderful, really. I definitely warmed to their characters as the film progressed. And it's fair to say I warmed to the film as it progressed. Initially, I wasn't won over. It didn't kind of click with me, but the more I got to know these characters, the more I understood, you know, his mission, and the fact that he was basically just being reprinted constantly because he was being taken advantage of by everybody. And I mean, he's treated like absolute dog shit as well by everybody in this film. Bless him, Mickey. So you really do connect with him and you feel for him. He's a very relatable character in that sense. I thought it dipped a little bit initially when we got the duplicate, the two versions of him. I felt it kind of lost its way a little bit, the film, but it found its groove again maybe 20 minutes after, so something like that, and I kind of got back into the film. But I threatened to kind of lose interest at that point because they didn't do a great deal with that. Other than they can't be duplicates. There's this big thing where you can't have multiples, and they give a reason for that in the film, and it makes sense. It's outlawed. So you get this kind of cat and mouse thing where they're kind of hiding and this, that, and the other, and then when it kind of all comes out in the open that there's a multiple sort of thing, it picks up again, in my opinion. So I think what we get here is a really unique science fiction film. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's got great performances, it's different, and I enjoyed it probably a little bit more than I expected to. It is no masterpiece, you know. I know this guy made Parasite, which I haven't seen, and I know he's one of these new directors where everyone's like, he's a genius sort of thing. And judging by this, you know, he's got interesting ideas for sure. And I did have a lot of fun with this one for the most part, and it definitely made me giggle more than once watching it. But it's not a side-splitting film. It's not like full-on comedy. Like I said, the comedy is quite dark at times, but other times as well, it's just like someone will just say something, and you're just like, oh, and then you're just bursting out laughing from what they've just said. So yeah, I had a good time with this one. If you're looking for a science fiction film with a little bit of a difference, a bit of quirkiness going on there, I think you'll probably have a good time with this one. I enjoyed it for sure. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I will be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.